Hey everybody, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Teri Hunter. I'm an angel therapy practitioner, Reiki master, intuitive guide, and empowerment coach. And today is Monday, December 14th, 2020. And today is a rather significant day in that we are having a new moon total solar eclipse. And this is in the sign of Sagittarius. So for those of you that are unfamiliar with astrology, new moons are ushering in the beginning of a cycle. Normally it has an influence over the next 2 weeks. This particular solar eclipse or solar eclipses in general, have a 6-month influence. So we started the year 2020 in January with a series of eclipses, and we're ending the year 2020 with an eclipse that is taking us into foreign lands. And I say that because the world is different now, and the world will continue to look different in the way that we do our jobs, the way that we educate our children, the way that we perceive ourselves and others. We are very much entering the age of Aquarius, and that is going to bring people into an energy of more thinking about others in a way, feeling very philanthropic, very humanitarian, very we are the world kind of thing. So this week, today, on this new moon, it's terrific to set an intention. And as you decide which one of these 5 spreads is going to be most applicable for you, I want you to contemplate not only this next week, but the following 6 months and what it is you would like to create, and set an intention for Spirit to support that creation. So I'm going to jump right in and start with spread number 1. As usual, I will put the timestamps in the comments once the video has uploaded, and allow your intuition to guide you as to which spread is most applicable for you. So for those of you that picked reading number 1, we start with the Kyle Gray card, the Sage. Be devoted and committed. And this is really an overview for the whole spread. And whatever it is that you are intending, as we discussed earlier in the video, being willing to be devoted and willing to be committed. And when you contemplate that idea, it's really a very wise idea to contemplate what prices you're willing to pay. And I don't mean that in a financial way as much as I mean in an emotional and spiritual way. What price am I willing to pay? An example of that would be to believe in myself regardless of what other people perceive in me and my abilities to create, to endeavor to continue on regardless of the challenges that are ahead of me. That is what the Sage will ask of us, to be devoted and committed, and to create a dynamic where we can see the prize at the end, feel how it will be to accomplish that endeavor. So in our first position, we have the Lady of the Lake and Aurora. So Aurora is the angel that says, continue to fly high. Anyway, she says, you are flying high right now. Do not descend. Continue to follow your path, because even though others may feel threatened, you may be breaking a box, they will soon be inspired by your example. And here's the Lady of the Lake asking you to have courage, self-respect, take responsibility. This goes right back to the Sage. What responsibilities am I willing to own in order to have what I want? How much am I willing to cut through to the truth? The Lady of the Lake holds the sword Excalibur, and no matter the emotional turmoil or seas, no matter how the winds are blowing, she stays steady and strong in her truth. And this is where you really continue to fly high. So this very much plays to this new moon and this new creation. In the opportunity and or the obstacle, we have Chantal and the Joy card. The angel Chantal represents romance, represents love. And in this particular case, I believe it's not outside of yourself, but inside of yourself. It's your ability to fall in love with your life all over again and to go into that place of joy. and what it feels like once I have been the sage in my own life, once I have demonstrated devotion and commitment to what it is that is my absolute truth. Because in the angel's advice, we have Astera saying to reach for the stars with your dreams and your desires, and we have the snake, which represents knowledge and healing, but I also think it represents the shedding of a skin. So here we go back to this idea that today is a new moon, total solar eclipse, ushering in new energies and foreign ideas in some ways, energies that will be unexperienced by you. They may not be from a foreign land, but it may be something to the effect where you're like, I want to endeavor this. I have never done anything like this before, but I want to give it a shot, because I believe that you will find a part of yourself that you have not experienced that will be very inspiring. In the final position, we have Shanti, the angel of peace, and we have the communications card. And I'm going to take that right back to Aurora and the Lady of the Lake, because those of you that picked angel reading number 1, the idea of having the ability to have, or demonstrating the ability to have the courage to go to your deeper truth, to be devoted and committed to it, to sit in what it would be like to actually experience that, to allow yourself to fall in love with the idea and to imagine and muse about it to the point where it feels tangible in your heart chakra. This is how you reach for the stars with your dreams and your desires, and you don't compromise. This is how knowledge becomes incorporated, because that feeling becomes rooted, because the communication to yourself and to spirit, your self-talk becomes one of empowerment, thereby giving you more peace. That's a pretty great spread. All right, so let's go on to angel reading number 2. For those of you that picked angel reading number 2, the first card and the overseer of this spread is the Earth Guardian. It says, stay rooted and grounded. Now, very interesting, because the staying rooted and staying grounded almost feels as if no matter the storm, no matter the landscape in your personal life right now, being able to keep your eye on the prize of what it is that you want to experience. And I believe this is very much in regards to your material life. So in the foundational position, we have the angel Isaiah and the Baird. And in some ways, these are counter energies, and yet they are similar. The Baird in many ways will indicate my history, what I've experienced in this lifetime, but it's also the enchantment of storytelling. And I believe that the Earth Guardian saying, stay rooted and grounded, is to be aware of your history, but also to be able to tell yourself a new story. That through the experiences you've already had, this gives you the ability to have the grit and the determination to move forward and to create new beginnings for yourself, and to know that Spirit is protecting you. When I say new beginnings, I very much mean this in the sense of first conceptually, first going into your heart chakra, your spiritual body, and allowing yourself to muse and imagine what it would be like if you were actually living on the material plane, what it is that your heart desires. And I want to make a note that the Earth Guardian here is holding his hand over his heart, almost like pledging allegiance to himself. And he has this emerald in his third eye, which very much says to me that that green color is representing his heart leading the charge for his connection to all that is. In the opportunity and or the obstacle is Celeste, saying that a new move to a new home or a new place of employment will usher in new energy. And then we have the King, which represents justice, represents male authority. And I want to offer it this way, because to me, while Celeste may offer you a physical new experience in the way of a home or a new job, I actually think that Celeste is in many ways cementing my way of thinking And in doing so, I'm taking authority over my situation. You can put me anywhere on this earth and I have a certain belief system, and I will take my actions based on that belief system. Just because you move me from location to location doesn't change that. So here, as I stay rooted and grounded in my heart for what I want, and rather than allowing my history to blow me back to an old story, I start to write a new story, knowing I'm being protected, which offers me an opportunity to shift the way I'm thinking, which at this time now is really taking authority over the way I'm thinking. In the angel's advice is the fire fairy and Akasha, the spiritual teacher. And I believe that the angels are teaching you now what it is like to go into your heart chakra and to be optimistic and to actually be creative in your thought process. And in this creation, I think it's not about trying to imagine something new and different. It's about really looking at how you're telling yourself this story. When you're shifting the way you're thinking, are you shifting in a way where you win? Or are you shifting in a way where you will not win? Because that's where I think the creative action comes in, and where the angels have an opportunity to teach you something, and in some ways allow you to karmically start to take authority over the way you're thinking in your mind. Because in the final position, we have the Grail Knight and we have Bethany. The Grail Knight is bowing down to Excalibur, the deepest truth. And the energy of the Grail Knight in its purest form represents all possibilities. And it's when we are authentic to ourselves and what we really want to experience. These times we're in, and today being a very, very powerful solar eclipse in Sagittarius. Sagittarius represents the connection to the angelic realm. It represents higher-minded ideals in education, philanthropic ideas, philosophies. It also represents the traveler, the nomad, the gypsy, because one can go from experience to experience seeking adventure. So in this particular case, for those of you that picked angel reading number 2, I think that this is an opportunity to look at your history and to rewrite it in some ways as how it has served you to move more expeditiously and more efficiently towards what you want. And then also to give out life to the idea that the year 2020 was meant to be a disruptive year, in that it offered opportunities to rewrite the story more authentically to where you want to go. And I think that's for this whole planet, not just each individual. All right, let's go on to reading number 3. All right, for those of you that picked angel reading number 3, our Kyle Gray card is the spring. See yourself grow. This is a rabbit on the front, and you know rabbits are prolific. So I want you to start to think of yourself as a prolific being, and that springtime will be the time when you will start to see these things sprout, because in the spring we know that love comes to us. And here's Isabella saying that yes, the timing is right for this new venture, and here is the love card. In the opportunity and or the obstacle, we have the cow, which represents nourishment, asking and receiving in abundance. And we have Fiona saying, now that you've asked God and the angels for help, be open to receiving God's guidance. You deserve God's help. In the angel's advice, we have the High Priestess, and we have Desiree. And I want to say it this way, because this last year has not been favorable, in the sense of there's been a lot of challenges. It's not that we cannot manifest and we can't fall in love, but I feel like this is very much saying that as we are more gentle with ourselves and keep our eye on the prize of what we want, God will help bring that into play. And in the final position, we have the novice and we have Francesca. So Francesca talks about visualization. Am I visualizing what I want, or am I visualizing where I've been, meaning my obstacles or my opportunities? And then we have the novice. I believe of those of you that picked angel reading number 3 will be offered an opportunity to experience love through the energy of another human being. I believe this will happen in the springtime for you, and that now is a very fertile time for you to use this new moon to describe to spirit exactly what your vision is. And realize that while we're walking through this challenging dynamic energetically of transfer. We're here, I'm in the United States, so we're transferring presidents, we're walking through a global pandemic, we are walking through unprecedented change and times. So that's what Desiree is saying. For those of you that picked angel reading number 3, as you contemplate that maybe the ground was not quite as fertile, and that God is in charge of not only the timing, but also bringing the elements in. And what it will require from you is a new beginning in the way that you view things, and view things in a way that you are inviting in the experience, and you are as prolific as the bunny rabbit. All right, let's go on to angel reading number 4. For those of you that picked angel reading number 4, we have the animal guardian as the overseer of this spread. And it says to trust your animal instincts. But I can't help but focus in on the owl above her head rather than the fawn she is cradling, because it is through pulling ourselves up above a situation that we can truly see the wisdom and the deception of the situation, and differentiate between what is a valid fear and what is a fear that we are projecting into the future. As I look at the owl, I feel as if the owl, this particular owl, is a heart-shaped owl known as a barn owl. So again, coming from my heart and asking myself, is anything I am contemplating as I pull my vision up happening right now, or is it a projection into the future? Because in the foundational position, we have the angel Xana saying that you're being protected from all types of harm. And then we have the letting go card. And for me, the letting go card is not about letting something go. It's not about trying to pretend it didn't happen. It's funny how some distance makes everything look small, and the fears that once controlled me can't get to me at all. That's what I believe this is about. It's about starting to really examine your fears and knowing whether or not they are present and need to be addressed, or whether they're a projection. And in our obstacle or our opportunity is the disruption card, and Seraphina saying a happy change is coming to your family. Oftentimes when we are living our everyday lives, we crave certain changes. We crave better jobs, more money, more harmony. And yet when change starts to reveal itself, we become very fearful that that change is actually going to take us down a road we didn't want to go down. And I feel like this is an opportunity for those of you that picked angel reading number 4 to go into your animal instincts and to ask yourself once again, is this a change I've been calling forth because I actually know that it will be better for me, more aligned to what I want to experience, more aligned to my happiness? Because in the angel's advice, we have Yvonne and we have the raven. Yvonne for me is a card of vulnerability. You look on the outset and it'll talk about having a way with animals. I was never a parent to a human child, always had fur babies. And whenever I'm stressed, I always tend to dream about my fur babies. And it's an interesting dream because it's rather a recurring dream. They are just out of reach. It's like the dog is off leash or the cat is in another room and I can't quite get to it to ensure its safety. So what it's saying to me is there's an element that's out of my control and I'm going to have to trust a bigger picture. This is where I go back to Xana saying we're being protected, and that it is through a little bit of sight where the owl is taking me above the situation that I will garnish that balance, and I will see that the disruption is potentially bringing forth more happiness. And my job is to be vulnerable to the timing and the magic of it, because in the final position we have the angel Vanessa and we have the bee card. And Vanessa talks about having faith, making my decisions based on faith rather than fear. And the bee card is about good luck. It is about sweet victory and industriousness. And that industriousness goes right back to my willingness to continue to ask myself the same question over and over again. Am I looking at the situation and projecting my fears that I will lose, that I will, be holding the short straw? Or is there another story I can tell myself? And am I willing to be brave enough to call forth that story? All right, let's go on to angel reading number 5. All right, For those of you that picked angel reading number 5, we have the traveler move in a new direction. Now, this is very interesting because, as I've mentioned earlier, and if you just went to the timestamp, I'm going to be a little repetitive. Today is a new moon, new beginnings, total solar eclipse. The moon and the sun are together. That is creation, father and mother together. Something new will begin in Sagittarius, the sign of the traveler, the sign of foreign travel, the sign of higher ideals, of philanthropy, of philanthropic, that's not correct, through philanthropic ideals and endeavors, higher education, and it is the connection to the angelic realm. And when I look at the traveler card, she's not loaded down with bags. She's not loaded down with trying to bring what was with her. She's serenely, almost in an energy of surrender, is willing to move forward, only bringing with her what is essential. So here we have in the foundational position, for those of you that picked angel reading number 5, I have Archangel Uriel, who represents frustration, anger, and unforgiveness. And then we have the water fairy. And the water fairy represents our feelings and our emotions. So the traveler, move in a new direction. Are you focused on what is frustrating you? Are you focused on what is creating anger inside of you? And are you unwilling to move past that? Are you justifying that anger over and over again, and in some ways watering it, giving it life and nutrients? Because in the opportunity and or the obstacle, we have the burden card and we have opal. And to me, this is very much the people that picked reading number 5 are having trouble believing that God, the angels, source energy, is indeed taking care of them. Sometimes when we walk through such a ragged path, a path that is riddled with what appears to be obstacles, it's because we've piled up so much of what we don't want on the path that the removal of the debris is very jarring and very scary. And I feel like that's part of what's going on. It's like almost like the people that picked reading number 5 are vacillating between wanting change and wanting everything to stay the same. In the angels' advice for releasing the burden and for allowing God and the angels to take over in some ways, the co-creation of this is Azure, saying your desired outcome will happen in the near future. Have faith and patience, and don't push on it. Be willing to travel light, and be willing to, again, go into the sight of the owl and ask yourself, there's 2 sides to every story. Is this happening right now? Is this a projection in the future? Is this a matter of my focus being on what isn't working versus what is working? Because in the final position, we have Sonia. And Sonia represents our team of angels watching over us. And then we have the mystery card. And in this respect, this is about choice. And, you know, we've heard people say over and over again that happiness is a perspective, that, you know, no one can really make you angry. It's a choice to be angry. Now, if you're angry, it doesn't feel like a choice. But if you are in the right mind that says that my focus gives me an opportunity to decide whether I want to be angry or I want to give life to a new idea. So that's it for today for angels, my angel readings for the week of December 14th, 2020. Again, my name is Teri Hunter. I'm an angel therapy practitioner, Reiki master, intuitive guided empowerment coach, and someone's at my door, so I'm going to have to jump. See you next week, everybody. Bye-bye.